Come on, you guys, look at this. It's amazing, right? I'm not growing my hair out this long ever, but it's genuinely starting to look like it could be a wig. I'm getting such a kick out of this. Like, it's kind of amazing. So anyway, hi, welcome. Welcome to Tuesdays with your girl. Happy Tuesday with Jax. How you guys doing? How's things going? How's the love? Are you feeling the love these days? I want to talk about love. Everybody's like, "Oh, Jackie, but we're all so grown up. But there's no children's books here." Look at this inspired hair. Um, love as the answer. I have mentioned a few things in the past few weeks where I have said I think we should pay attention to the fact that there are pretty much two types of people out here in the world right now, right? There are the people who have got the abundance of love, they have enough for what they need, they're getting through, they're okay, they're surviving, and maybe they've got a little extra. Maybe they can support you, maybe they can throw you a smile, maybe they can give you some grace, um, maybe they can forgive your mistakes. There's people out there who have the capacity to extend even more love beyond what they have themselves. Then there are others. We don't get to choose always who we are, right? So I don't say any of this with judgment. But there are others who don't have the love to give, right? Now that doesn't mean something's wrong. It just means they're not full up, right? They're not at capacity, so they don't have extra. When you don't have extra, it's hard to share. So, in order to kind of come at the world right now with a perspective of compassion as well as I can, I'm really thinking about those who have love and those who do not. And that's an interesting consideration of the people who've got an abundance of love in their lives and the abundance of grace, because the people who have that abundance in their lives of love or grace are not always the people who have actual abundance in their lives. And that's what I think is really interesting about all of this. Who has it to give? Who doesn't? And who are they? And where? Makes me think of a story going back maybe 20 years or so for me to a time when I was working in an office job in a law firm. My time was coming to an end there, and I knew it. And I'd been there for an extended period of time. And I'd been caught in politics for a while in it, and wasn't crazy about what I'd been dragged into, but I definitely had been placed on a side, and um, and uh, and then it saddled me with some things, and not all of those things were mine. Um, some of them were, but not all of them were, and I was really contending with a lot. What was I going to do next in my life? Um, why was I feeling so frustrated with everything and where it was? Why couldn't I find my way in this place and make it work the right way? What was going on? And I would leave at the end of the day and I would be crying. And I would just be so defeated. Because I wanted to do the right thing. Um, but um, I'd had a lot of bad guidance in my life. um, so I wasn't always great at picking who my guides were and my mentors. And so some of my early mentors were challenging for me and other people. Um, and ultimately, I actually learned a lot from them, and I'm grateful for the time that I got to spend with them. But I also failed a lot while I was with them, emulating their method of doing things, which was not necessarily a method that was always based in integrity. It was often based in power structures and maneuvering and pulling levers and things like that. And I'm really I'm I'm better off if I'm just honest and authentic about things. And so I actually think that might have been part of the problem is my desire to be honest and authentic combined with this sort of toxic mentorship. um, I think it I think it confused both of us about who we were for a little while, which is sort of funny. But it was a heavy time. It was a heavy time in my life, and I'd done with a lot of success, and was excited about what was next, and then was also disappointed that I um, hadn't acted with the integrity that I had hoped that would have probably kept the relationships that I valued most whole after I left. And all of those relationships didn't stay whole. So, there was plenty of growth on this trajectory, and a lot of it needed to be mine. So I was carrying all of this, so it's heavy, and I would come home at the end of the day and I would walk through 30th Street Station. Yeah, you guys know where I was. And I would go through there over to the train to take the subway back home, and I would cry on my way because I was so relieved to be out, and I was so sad about what's happening and frustrated because I don't always do the right thing, but it's not because I don't want to do the right thing. I very much want to do the right thing. I just sometimes am awkward and weird about it. So I struggled a lot with doing the right thing in my life and how to do the right thing and when to do the right and what the right thing is. Is that your thing to do? Your right thing? Is it their right thing? Like there's a lot of stuff, right, that comes with these. So um so I would go home and I would cry. And so this is this story of how one day on my way home, I was walking to um, the station on the Blue Line at 31st, 32nd. I forget now what the stop is behind 30th Street. And maybe it's 30th and I just don't remember it. and on my way there was a man who was looking for help and assistance and was asking people for money. And he was in a wheelchair, and he was an amputee, and he was missing both of his legs. And I was coming home from work, and I was crying. And he looked up at me, and he saw me crying. This man, who I presume was homeless. And he said to me, "It's okay, honey. It'll be better. It's going to get better. All right? Hang in there. You're going to be okay." Well, I already told you that I tended to do homeless outreach, so I'm inclined to sit down and talk with people. So I think I actually just sat down and broke down in tears and cried with him right there because I was just busted up over what had been happening. So that's how I met Derek. One of my favorite people in Philadelphia, and one of my best examples of somebody who had so much love to give, and he had literally nothing else. And nobody else in my world, housed, friends, or otherwise, were reaching out to me to see if I was okay. But Derek, this man with no legs who did not have a house, Derek was able to reach out to me and say, I see you, and you're going to be okay. And I needed somebody to say that to me. So that's what I mean when I say, like, it really matters. If you have the love to give, that you share it. I mean, this was 20 years ago when this happened, and maybe we weren't quite so desperate as we are right now in this moment for kindness. Some of us were. Some people have always been. And some struggle with this reality regardless because they don't have the privilege that I do. And so this is something that's that I'm contending with now in a more real fashion than before because I have a lot of privilege. And I'm finding that a lot of people that are in my position who have not contended with a lot of this before are also struggling. And they don't have a lot of extra of anything to give, especially love or grace or compassion or forgiveness. And that's heavy. That's heavy for everyone. On the other side, you may be somebody who ends up lacking an abundance of love right now, right? And if you're lacking that abundance of love right now, then you're like, what do I do? I'm not going to be a lot of help. And that's okay, honey. It's okay. I did a lot of singing growing up. And in my singing, I did a lot of group singing. I did a lot of choral singing. And choir singing is a lot like community service work. And the main objective is that you guys stay whole as long as everybody just takes their breaks at different times. So you take your break and you get the oxygen when you need to. You just stagger the breathing between everybody in the group, and that's really what sustains you. So sometimes when we don't have anything extra to give, we just need to keep ourselves together. We just need more oxygen to make sure we're okay. That's all right. Stagger your breathing. Keep breathing. We'll go on without you. We can hold this down for you until you can come back. It's okay. It's okay. If you don't have grace or love to give to anybody else, that's okay. Because you need all of it right then for you. And that's okay. You deserve it too. Especially from yourself, right? So we may not have anything extra to give. Maybe we do. Maybe we're lucky. Maybe you're like me and somehow in the midst of all of the chaos around you, the only thing that you want to do is reach out and tell everybody that you love them and you know that this is all going to be okay. And I know you're scared, but you're going to be all right. Maybe you're like that. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're barely keeping it together and you're in a fetal position and you're wondering how you're going to get to the next day and every minute feels hard. And if that's the case, then I love you. Love it. I love you. Derek was right. It did get better. Oh, it got so much better. Like than everything I ever could have even hoped for. So I hope that is your experience too. I hope that whatever is next for you is, oh, way beyond what your dreams had hoped. You know, you can dream things and then it's this or something better. I hope it's always something better for you. I hope it's always something better for you. And if you don't know how to give it to anybody else, then just give it to yourself. And if you don't know how to give it to yourself, that's okay. Then just try not to take it from yourself, right? Just don't add to your own burden, right? That inner voice that talks to you about what's wrong with you. No. We silence them when we're tired. We silence them and say, it's time for a break. If they're too loud, we get a nap. If it's too hard, you probably need a snack. If you're absolutely exhausted and nothing makes sense, you might be dehydrated. Water has a lot to do with our energy and is a great way to help you start building yourself up. Sometimes the only thing you need is just to hold yourself. I really believe so much of what we need is to be held, literally, figuratively, and emotionally. I think our bodies need it. I think there's tension in our body that is released when we hold ourselves. I think that's what the massage does while it works. It's a holding and a holding of ourselves that allows for the release. There is, in science, physics says that there is always a contraction before expansion. And if that's true, well, then it would make sense, right? That hugging each other and holding ourselves would make sense. That we could hold ourselves and keep ourselves contracted until it's time for the expansion where we can reach out to somebody else and say, I love you too. Right? So I just want you to know that there's a place for all of it. There's a place for you to be held and to be safe right now, and you don't owe anybody anything. You don't owe anybody anything. Maybe yourself. But if you owe yourself anything, I would say you owe yourself grace. Overall, grace. Grace for this human experience. Grace for the way that we have to process. Grace for the learning and the education. Grace for the process. And the trip ups. And the things that we don't always do in the best way that we could. But when it comes to who we are and what we choose, I don't ever want to forget Derek. And I don't want Derek to be forgotten. I stayed in touch with him for almost 10 years. Last I heard, he was in charge and managing his business, or his community environment. He was in charge of the building. And I have not seen him on the streets of Philadelphia since I moved to Boston. Maybe we saw him once after we moved. But it's probably been a decade since I have seen him, and I pray every time I think of him, the reason that I don't see him is because he was finally given the grace that he gave to me, and that he is someplace happy, safe, protected, and cherished. And I hope that for you, that you are happy, safe, protected, and cherished. And if you don't feel like you are, then I invite you to come back, because I intend to try to help rectify that, because I would like you, while you are here, to know how very, very special you are, how sacred you are, how divine you are. I don't think I always am this emotional, but I think it's something about the fact that I'm starting this now and I'm just trying to be authentic about who I am. So I don't always get weepy about things. I tend to, I prefer to laugh, honestly, but also I let myself process this stuff now, so I don't try to repress it as much. I think it's important that we feel the feels. I think a lot of what we're struggling with is not letting ourselves feel it, and then when we don't feel it, our body shuts down, and when our body shuts down, we don't get the signals about what we need. So all of this is about healing ourselves, healing our stories, healing our planet, healing our future, healing our past, healing each other. And that's why I believe all you need is love. And I know in a world that is this complicated and crazy, that sometimes it probably seems absolutely absurd to say that this would be the real answer, but I think we've overcomplicated everything. I've thought a lot about it. I think we've overcomplicated a lot. And I think we really could simplify much of this down to love. Give more of it. Try not to cause pain. If you don't have love to give, then just try not to make somebody else's burden heavier. That's a gift. Walk away and don't place your burdens on them too. That's a gift, and it counts. All right? All the little things that you're doing that nobody sees, all those little choices that you make when nobody's around, they matter. They matter. I promise you they matter. What you're doing, the choices that you make and the decisions that you make, every one of them matters because you matter. All of us do. We're part of something that is amazing right now, and we're going to be able to see it before it's all said and done. We will be able to see more of the glory than we do right now. And it's going to be amazing, and it's way better than anything we think of. It's way better than all the things we were afraid of. I'm really excited for all of us. I'm really optimistic, even though all of this feels really, really messy right now. So I want you to know you can hang out here if you're looking for optimism in the chaos. I want you to know that's why I call it shedding light when I talk about my newsletter. I want you to know that this is really truly about trying to support you and help you sustain, learn, grow, develop, inspire, create, heal, any kinds of things that you want to, because you get to choose. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad we get this time together. I so appreciate you. I'm so happy to be here with you. And I hope today you are showered in love and abundance, that every time you turn around, you find a surprise blessing that you didn't anticipate. A little gift, a little bit more light than you expected, because you deserve it. We get to be the future. This is a little intense, but it's also kind of exciting, right? We're the ones who are writing the story. We should not be afraid. We should not be afraid to write this story. We should be writing really loudly with our love. That's what we should be doing. Writing loudly with our love.